Now, in this satin bonnet, there is no elastic. Hi guys and welcome to Siska Stitches. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to make this jumbo-sized reversible satin bonnet. I made it in such a way that you can tie this into a bow. Now, in this satin bonnet, there is no elastic. Like, there is no elastic at all. So, you don't really get to feel that elastic tension around your head. All you need to do is put this on, tie it on your head, and you are good to go to bed. So guys, another thing I want to mention is you don't have to use the same measurements I did. You can go with a reduced measurement, maybe about 13 inches, but it will still be big, but not as, gigantic as this. So guys, if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please click the subscribe button, click the bell, so you get updates when we post new videos. And now let's get right into the tutorial process. So guys, this is the fabric that we will be using for the outer part of this head wrap or satin bonnet cap, and as you can see, it's folded into two. So I'll just go right ahead and fold it again as if we are trying to make a 360-degree flare. And I'll be marking 15.5 inches from this point right here. So I have more than 15.5 on this fabric. So what I'll be doing is, of course, just go ahead and mark my 15.5 from this point all the way around. So guys, you can go with 12 inches, you can go with 13 inches, because we'll still be adding a 2-inch band to this. So I just go ahead and continue marking 15.5, which is inclusive of seam allowance right at the bottom there. And then once I'm done marking like so, I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So this will give us a very gigantic circle. So this is the fabric I'll be using for the satin parts. I'm using this color so that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. I folded it the way I folded the print fabric initially, like into 4. So what I'll just do is use the print fabric like a pattern to cut it out on this. So I just place it on top like so, ensuring that the edges match. As you can see, where I have this folded side on my print fabric, ensure that it matched to the side on the satin fabric as well, so that I can easily cut this out. So just a quick explanation for you. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, and this is what we have, guys. So I'll just open it up like so, and then I'll be placing them on top of each other with right sides touching. So the wrong side of the satin will be like facing me. So I just turned it to the other side like so. I want to explain something to you guys so you guys can really see this well. So here is the midpoint of this circle. I just folded it to like have a semicircle. And then what I'm going to be doing is from this edge, now remember we have half an inch seam allowance. I'll go ahead and mark that half an inch. And then I'll come from that half an inch, I'll be marking 4 inches. At this point, you can go with 3 or 2.5 inches if you don't want the opening to be too long. So I'll just go ahead and cut this side now. So guys, the reason we are doing this is because this side will serve as an opening such that we can easily wear our satin bonnet, since there is no elastic on this pattern, on this satin head wrap that we are making. So with right side still touching, I'll sew by half an inch right up here, half an inch above the cut, and then come right back down with a half an inch. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And then I'll show you guys up close. This is what we have. I've sewn by half an inch right here, half an inch above the cut, and then right back down. So guys, what I'm going to do next is to sort of like from this point make a diagonal cut to the edge of the stitch, ensuring that it doesn't cut right through the stitch, but get up to that point. So that's what I'm doing at this side, and then I'll do the same thing for the other side as well. The reason we are doing this is such that by the time we turn this inside out, the fabric is going to look very neat on the other side. So I'll just go ahead and turn it out for you guys to see what I'm talking about. So this is how it's going to look on this side, like so you can see how neat it is. And then I'll show you guys another method that you can do if you don't want to do something like this. So just mark a point on your fabric like so. That's what I've done here. Draw a straight line on your fabric. And then I am measuring exactly what I have here. I'm measuring it right back here. You can go with the reduced length as well of 3.5 inches. And then what I'll do is mark 3/4 inches on both sides of that line, like so. Just mark 3/4 inches and join them together as if you are creating a dart. So basically, do something like this, and then take this to your machine. So from one side like so, up to that point and then come right down. And then after sewing, the middle point, you're going to cut it right up to this point, but without cutting through the stitch. You get, so just go ahead and do that and then turn your fabric, right sides out. So that's just another way. So I'll just go ahead and turn it right sides out, and then I'll go ahead and press this down so it comes out nice, neat and flat. And after pressing, guys, this is what we have. You can see how it looks. I've gone ahead to pin around the circle for easy sewing, and I'll be sewing by a quarter of an inch from this point all the way around. From this point now all the way around till we get to this edge. I'll go again. I'll be sewing by a quarter of an inch from this point all the way around till we get to this edge right here. So I've gone ahead to sew this down, and this is what we have. We are going to set this aside, the cap part of this project. We're going to set this aside and work on our band. So guys, my band is measuring 44 inches in length on fold. As you can see, I have 44 inches on fold. That's a total of 88 inches. And the width is 3.5 inches, inclusive of half an inch seam allowance at both top and bottom. So guys, I'm going to come right at the bottom here. Here's the bottom, right here is the top of the band. So what I'm going to do at the bottom now is mark 3.5 inches. And then we're going to be connecting it to this point right here. So that 3.5 inches, we're going to be connecting it to that top right there with a straight line. So guys, after connecting, we're going to cut this out, and then I'll be using this as a pattern or as a guide to cutting the other end. So I just place it right on top and then go ahead and cut it out. So this will be easy for you if you don't want to measure from scratch at the other side. So guys, this is what we have for our band. This is what it looks like. And here is the midpoint, guys. I'll just go ahead and find that. So from the midpoint of the band, I'll be sewing by half an inch and come right down with ensure that your fabric has right sides touching. So after sewing, guys, this is what we have. I've sewn it all the way around. You want to cut out the excess around the edge right here. This will ensure that that edge comes out nice and neat. So I'll do it for both sides. And then after cutting out the excess, we're going to turn this inside out, and then I'll be using my fabric scissors to, poke out the end so that it comes out really pointed. So I cut out the band like so, because if you tie this into a bow, it's going to come out very beautiful at the ends. It's going to look like, very neat, very beautiful. So I'm going to do what I've done here for the other side, and then turn the band right sides out like so, and then go ahead and press this down. So I've pressed it. This is how it looks. It's looking really neat. So what I want to do now is find the midpoint of the band. So you want to find the midpoint of your band, and I'll go ahead and mark this down. You can find the midpoint of your band by folding it into two from the ends. You want to fold it into two from the ends, not like how I did. Fold it into two from the ends like so. And then once the end is okay, you find the midpoint of your band and mark. So guys, this is what we have. I'm going to mark the circumference of my head now on this band. So the circumference of my head is 23 inches divided by 2, that is 11.5. So I'll be marking 11.5 inches from the midpoint of the band that I marked earlier. On this side, I'll mark 11.5 inches. Now on the other side of the midpoint as well, I'll be marking 11.5 inches. So you want to measure the circumference of your head for this. And then after the 11.5 inches, I'll be marking 2 inches on this side right here. After the 11.5 inches, I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side as well. Come right to the other side where we marked the 11.5 inches, mark 2 inches, and then I'll be explaining why. So guys, on the cap part of the satin head wrap, there is going to be sort of like an overlap at the back, which is roughly around 2 inches. I'm going to measure that for you guys to see. So it's roughly around 2 inches for overlap at the back. That's why we did that 2 inches extension on the circumference of my band. So what I'm going to do now is fold this circle into two like so, to sort of like form a semicircle. We want to get the front midpoint, which is right here. So that front midpoint now, I'm going to be pinning it down to the midpoint of the band with satin touching satin. Very important. Satin should touch satin so that by the time you sew, it's going to look like this. So I'll pin the front midpoint now to the midpoint of the band like so. Then I'll come right to this end right here, pin it down to the 2-inch extension that we marked on our band. with satin touching satin as well. So ensure that your fabric is not twisted. With satin touching satin, I'll pin it down. Then I'll come right to this point and do the same thing. Pin the end right here, pin it down to the band with satin touching satin as well. So you want to do this. Ensure that your fabric is not twisted while you are pinning down. Now this side of the circle will be pleated to this part of the band, and then this other side of the circle will be pleated to this side of the band. So what I'm going to do now is create random pleats of about 1.5 to 2 inches. So I'm not measuring, I'm just creating random pleats, and then I'm pinning it down to this satin part of the band. So that is what you want to do. So I'm going to continue pleating till I get to the midpoint. Guys, once we've gotten to the middle of the circle and the band that we pinned down previously, we're going to continue pleating in the direction we started with all the way to this end. So I'll just go ahead and continue pleating in that direction. And then once I'm done, guys, this is what I have. Our bonnet cap is, coming out really nicely. So what I'm going to do now is take this to my sewing machine and stitch. I'll stitch right on the satin part of the band, not on the print side. So you don't want to touch the print side. So I'll sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around without sewing on the print of the band, the print fabric of the band. So I'm going to sew till I get to this end right here. So guys, I've gone ahead to stitch that down, and this is what we have. Our bonnet cap is coming out beautifully. So what I want to do now is conceal these raw edges by flipping the print fabric of the band. So this is how neat it looks on the inside. So you want to follow this process. So guys, I'll fold by a 1/2 inch seam allowance like so, and then I'll go ahead and pin this down. Very important. So you want to do this throughout. Fold by a 1/2 inch seam allowance and then pin down. And then what I'm going to do now is stitch right from the top right there at the edge of the part that I'm folding. Stitch while folding with a 1/2 inch seam allowance till I get to this edge, and then I'll now fold both the print and the satin part of the band, fold them inwards with a 1/2 inch seam allowance and stitch till I get to this end right here. So like I said, I'll stitch from this point all the way to this end. Now fold this part in and stitch all the way to this end. So guys, I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what our bonnet head wrap looks like, guys. This is what it looks on the inside. Of course, I'm going to be wearing this head wrap with the print side out, and then you can see the overlap I was talking about right there. I'll go ahead and try this on now so you guys can see how it looks on my head. So we're practically done. This is our jumbo sized satin bonnet. So I just place it over my head like so. And then this is the wrap. I'll take it right. If I'm not looking at the screen, please pardon me. I'm looking at the viewfinder so that I can see what I'm doing. So I just place it like so. And you can see. So this is how I'm going to tie it around my head. So I want to tie the bow on this side. So I'll just go ahead and, I'm going to pick the pieces like this so that I grab the Ankara facing out. So I just tie it tight, grab the Ankara facing out like so. And then I'll just go ahead and tie my bow. That's it, guys. However you want to tie it, just go ahead and tie it like that. So if I want the bow to be smaller, I just make it smaller like so. Make it smaller, tighten it. I can pass this through this side, bring it right back out, and then tie it again. And that's it, guys. We have a beautiful bow right here. Yep. So guys, I made a 3D face mask in my previous video. If you've not seen that, please go and watch that, and stay safe this period. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Bye!